Welcome to another edition of Ego on Break. I'm your host, Jay Andrews, and I'm always joined by my sidekick over here, the Mississippi madman, Logan Creed. So, what's up, Mr. Logan Creed?
I don't know, I just got done rubbing.
Your eyes?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm going to see y'all next time. You do this one by yourself?
I'm good. It was my eyes.
Alright, I'm back. I have no idea what he was doing before I got here. Well that was off to an interesting start. Cut! Oh wait, we don't edit. No. Never mind. So, watch any wrestling lately?
I watched some of the highlights of Raw, and what I saw was trash. So,
well, did you see anything that was good?
Vince got stunned, but I've seen that before. So,
the best part of that was I got hyped for it too, man. I seen it and I was like, oh, we know what's going to happen, you know. But Vince goes, you know, I'm old. I've got arthritis and my bones are. I live in a retirement center. I'm a member of AARP, and like Stone Cold's just looking at him, he going, I'm a senior citizen, but Shane's in the prime of his life. So so Vince set his own kid up. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
Him out the hell himself twice.
Yeah, but I popped for that, and the other thing I noticed was Austin has definitely not been getting tossed beers because he dropped like 15 of them.
That shit hurts.
So
Somebody throw a full Coke to you, see how bad that hurts your hand.
But Raw started off hot, man. It was hot.
Yeah, I heard it went straight down the toilet.
Ah, yeah, it was pretty rough.
Heard the Revival's basically the new Spirit Squad. They got trashed by everybody in DX.
Oh, not just everybody in DX, and old Scott Hall.
There you go. Scott Hall. What did he do, punch him?
I don't know. I fast forwarded.
He so broke down he couldn't do much.
When he came out, I was like, well, Scott Hall ruined it for me, because even though you know the DX is old, like they tried their best to hide being old, and Scott Hall come out looking like Grandpa. So I was like, and it didn't fit for me, because I'm like, he wasn't, you know what I mean? He wasn't in DX.
But he was a click.
But half of those guys wasn't.
I understand.
Two of them, three of them were, but the rest of them wasn't. So, and then like Balor Club came out.
Was X-Pac out there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's 4.
Yeah, but Road Dogg and Billy Gunn wasn't.
I know. I'm counting Shawn.
Yeah.
Triple H.
Right.
Yeah.
But like the Balor Club came out, and they two-sweeted, and it was funny because like Scott Hall was in the background, like he wasn't even the one instigating the two-sweet, which was an NWO thing. So like it was all like, let's try to stay relevant and look cool, but they really didn't. So, and X-Pac was doing something with his hands and fingers, like, look at me, look, I'm so cool. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like Fred Sanford, I got the big one.
All the riders kicked in. Like I say, what I saw, I don't want to go see the whole show. I know there was a point the fans were chatting, this is BS, we want refunds.
Yeah, the word on the street is...
It wasn't good. No, I saw the video. Yeah. There wasn't no word on the street. It was video.
But, you know, just one of those things where I got hyped because they hyped it up, and then I got hyped because how it started. And... it
was a complete miss.
Right. So...
They spent more money on bringing in old talent, and they could have kept the talent they had and had a good show. And because they kept flip-flopping from the Manhattan Center to the Berkeley Center or whatever it was, like when it came on and it was Monday Night Raw, like old school, and like the best part of it was like they had the building decorated the same way they had the Ico Pro banner and all that stuff up. I got hyped for it. But then when you seen the 2018 version and you go back, it went from like high budget to like trash. So even if it happened over here in the Manhattan Center, the Undertaker felt super low budget because it wasn't over here with all this production and stuff. That's interesting.
So by doing it back, you know, doing them and flip-flopping, like...
I don't know why they did to run it out of one building.
Well, I understand why they did, because they wanted to do like the...
They want to make more money.
Right.
Yeah.
If it was me, if ever there was a time just to do it in that little small venue,
it was then.
Then, you know, and the fact that you did it out of nostalgia, but
nostalgia.
Yeah, whatever.
What the?
You know what I meant. Out of it just wasn't good. You know, it was bad, man. It came off like like they say, you got Raw, SmackDown, the A show, the B show. This was like the U show or something. It wasn't quite the Z show because you had some big name people there.
But they didn't do nothing.
But they didn't do anything.
So I'm saying, I mean, okay, well, like, just use who's the tag team? The Revival.
Yeah.
Use them as an example. I mean, they could have worked Billy and Brian. They still work.
Yep.
And they could have had a good tag team match, and it could have, I ain't gonna say they had to lose or anything or win, whatever. It could even went to a brawl.
But it could have been more
They could have brought out
competitive,
DX. You know what I'm saying? That maybe they're like, finally we're beating these old guys' ass, and here comes DX to make the save.
Yep.
And that would have got them over. And instead, now you got two good guys that were really good tag teams, and now they look like trash.
Right.
They got beat up by old guys. They might as well got beat with a walker. Yeah. I mean, it's sad to say, but it's true.
Yep. So it wasn't good. And I'm not doing it to be negative because I hate when people do that.
Everybody did. I mean,
like even the good stuff was bad. You know what I mean? Like I was hyped to see a lot of the legends and stuff, but like
it was a flash.
Right. It was legit just a
I say if you blink, you missed MVP.
Right. Like the whole point of, like, you had all these old timers come into the building with Kurt Angle into the manager's office or whatever. And the whole thing was just so Boogeyman could walk in, chew up some worms, and spit them in the coach's hand. And everybody's going, look at that. Like, it was stupid, And, they had a bunch of guys just playing poker with APA. Like, well, who cares,
To lead to one fight. They got broke up before the fight even happened.
Yeah, so, I mean, it wasn't...
I legitimately, after reading everything and seeing what I've seen, I was like, did they bring Russo back to write this garbage? And then you told me Russo was pissed off because they didn't invite him back to be a character.
Yeah. So I mean, it just wasn't good, and I don't know if it would have been good had it not been hyped the way it was hyped. You know what I mean?
I know, because
like when they did
the
old school Raw or something, they kind of just do that throwback episode every so often. Had it been that, then maybe it would have been good. But because they hyped it to be like this is going to be this huge thing, and it wasn't.
Well, think about this. Okay, this is just shit off the top of my head, booking. Say Undertaker's in the ring. Somebody comes out to threaten the Undertaker. He more or less says, I'm retired. But there's another person from the darkness. I'll let you fight. And out comes Finn Balor dressed as a demon. That's simple, easy booking. I did it right here, just thought of the top of my head. And it could have been anybody.
Yeah, but you didn't get Finn Balor, the two sweet guys that never too sweeted.
Yeah, but he would have got the rub from the Undertaker that has more respect than any member of DX.
You could have even done Bray Wyatt and that. You could have done Broken Matt Hardy, whatever,
But I'm just... I mean, it's
Undertaker cut a decent promo, man. Like
it made no sense,
but it was still decent. But like, it just wasn't like they were throwing him back. This is the 25th anniversary. They were showing all these clips, and he was in the original building.
He came out in the robe shit too.
He came out in Satanic Undertaker.
Because everybody was like, because one guy's like, "That's great. We just got an old guy in a bathrobe." I swear I read that. And I was like, what is he talking about? And then I was looking, they showed a picture of his Undertaker.
But I think the reason it was because they was trying to hide that he was old, Yeah,
but when he first showed up, he had the hat on. He had the purple glove.
Right.
I would have rather him come out in the purple glove.
And it was funny because they showed a clip right before that of him and like Damien Demento.
You know what would be cool? If Bro Love come out with him.
Yeah.
Or even $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase.
Yeah. They were both there.
If both of them want to come out with him, something. Jesus.
Ted's biggest thing was he walked in and threw down some money on the table and laughed, and then he sat there and watched everybody else drink beer and gamble. And I'm like...
And he played Royal Flush.
Yeah, at the end, Like, ha 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 ha. But it was not good.
Well, anyway.
All right. Well, let's say, since we're talking about Raw, and let's talk about some...
Mediocre.
Yeah.
Mediocre.
Let's talk about some things that we remember from Raw's past that was good.
A lot of good, a lot of bad.
I looked up on the way over here. I just typed it on YouTube, great moments in Raw's history. And somebody made a playlist, 55 moments.
My favorite, I'll tell you.
They were all Stone Cold moments.
No, it wasn't for me. But because I never seen Steve Austin as Stone Cold. I always still think of Stunning. Which isn't bad. I like Steve Austin. But my favorite was Mick Foley beating The Rock for the title. And making pretty much 80% of Nitro's television audience flip the channel when they announced it.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Man, there was a lot. I like a lot of the early stuff when it was kind of still, kooky and gimmicky, you know. A lot of the characters. And I don't know if I have really a favorite moment. If I had to say like kind of a favorite moment, it was probably be when DX dressed up like the Nation.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. I really, you know,
especially when little skinny X-Pac was dressed up like a big Mark Henry.
Like that was probably my favorite. If I had to just say a favorite moment on Raw, that would probably be it. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that happened. You have a favorite, like maybe just a favorite guy that you don't really see anymore, but was back then when kind of Raw first started. Maybe that he doesn't get talked about. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I liked. What's his name? I want to carry the Gator Claw.
Skinner.
I liked Skinner. I liked his gimmick.
Yeah.
And he was just a brawler.
Yeah.
And the Berserker. I like both of them. I mean, but they were characters, but they were good wrestlers, honestly.
You want me to spoil something to you about Skinner?
Sure.
And I don't know how true it is. You know, if it's on the internet, it's got to be true, right?
Sure.
But, you know, he'd bring the can out and he's spitting in the can or whatever. And everybody thought it was tobacco. Supposedly it was black licorice.
Sounds good. I've tried tobacco. I'd rather have the licorice.
So,
but it looks the same.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was so nasty, you know. So, thought that was kind of funny, but
yeah, because he poured on him.
Yeah.
That's filthy.
Yes, it is. So, but yeah, like Berserker, you know, trying to kill people with the sword and all that stuff.
But did you ever see the episode where Undertaker's laid down, he goes to stab him with a sword and misses, and the sword goes straight through, so you're like, well, that wasn't gimmicked after all.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Like, I remember like when, remember Ludwig Borga?
Unfortunately, yes.
That's great stuff. He was so horrible.
Yes, he was. I tell you another one I remember. It was,
Repo Man?
No, Battle Royal.
Okay.
Elegante was not in the Battle Royal, but he comes out and clears the freaking ring, and Scott Hall had him underneath the ring, or Razor Ramon, and he jumps out, he's looking, he's like, you know, and he won, because he cleared the freaking ring. So that was great.
Yeah, because they had built it up, like, it was like everybody had said, oh, if he's in it, we're not going to be in it, we forfeit or whatever, so they took him out of it, and it was all like to build up to the Royal Rumble or something that year, wasn't it?
I don't
or
remember,
to the Undertaker.
To
Maybe it was built up to WrestleMania where he wrestled the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what
possibly.
It was. Yeah, it was pretty horrible.
I just remember he cleared the freaking ring, and Scott's like, he's like, you had to screw this.
So, there's a lot of good stuff that happened, you know. Man, I'm going blank trying to think. There were so many, but just the characters that you saw, you know, and
like, seeing The Rock as Dwayne.
It's Rocky Maivia, you know, and you know Austin as the ringmaster. You know, see these guys back when they were young.
He had like a perm, didn't
he? He had something. Right. I guess it was a perm, maybe.
It looked like it. Well, it might be. Yeah, maybe mine turns curly in the back. I can't say nothing.
Maybe a reason he keeps it real short. You know,
nice bald.
So, it was good stuff, man. All right, well, we talked about Raw, you know, in the 25th anniversary and kind of memories of Raw.
SmackDown's got to be better tonight.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think SmackDown is going to kind of
I hope
play off of that, or do you think it's just going to be... I
go exercise and watch that while I exercise. I don't want it to.
So, or you think it's just going to be another SmackDown? Because, like, people were kind of fussy because they didn't really put any build up toward the Royal Rumble.
No.
You know, just a little bit right at the end, and then a little bit with the women.
And we got a bet on that.
Yeah, so you're going to get pie in your face.
Yeah, I hope you get it turned in your face, not me.
So, if y'all want to see him get pie, root for SmackDown.
Chocolate cream pie from Kroger.
You buying it?
No. Whoever loses has to buy it. That's the rule.
So when that rule get came, I thought since your idea, you'd buy all the stuff.
That's not how that works.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the path less taken.
Tacos returning.
The path less taken happened.
Was that with barbed wire and
this Saturday night? Yeah, a little bit. This Saturday night, the Hideaway.
Hold on, before we do that, I need to apologize for something. You don't even know that I need to apologize for this. Sorry that you don't, but I guess I can let the cat out of the bag. You saw me interview Jim Sterling, correct?
Yes.
At the very end of the interview, he stole my chair.
Yes.
My chair showed back up at the end of your show.
Yes, it did.
And kind of got somebody clunked. So I would kind of like to apologize and well, whoever did the clunking.
Well, he done it.
Got clunked.
Yeah, the clunk
was Fury.
Yeah, Ray Fury got clunked. So, who clunked him?
It was
O'Shea Edwards.
O'Shea Edwards. I'm sorry, I went blank for a second.
Yeah. I don't think people saw that coming.
No, I didn't see it coming.
But yeah, I think you should apologize to Ray Fury for not.
Stardust Sterling. If you watch the interview, you'll understand what I mean. But Sterling stole this chair for Stardust.
Someone who he may or may not be.
Yeah,
Mississippi Madman.
I interviewed him, and I'm still confused.
Yeah. That's what I remember out of the interview. I may or may not be him, Mississippi Madman Logan Creed.
Yes, sir.
So I liked how he said your name, full name.
Yeah.
Your birth name.
I think I just called him Jim.
Yeah.
And he introduced himself as James. So.
Well, James E. Cornette, Jim Cornette, it's got to be the same thing.
Yeah, he stole my chair, and then the chair showed back up. So
that's all your fault.
I guess technically, because I didn't stop him.
Well, see, I have this theory that if bad people want to do bad things, they'll do bad things with other things if you take these things away. So,
yeah, true.
Yeah, you know, so I'm sure it would have happened regardless, whether it was with your chair or someone else's.
You still stole mine.
Yeah.
That's $10 from Walmart.
Yeah.
You know how much $10 is to me?
Yeah.
$10.
2 5s.
Damn it. Walmart, having to go into Walmart.
Yeah. So path list taken. We'll do a rundown. We saw another member of the left-hand path in Aleister Crow. He teamed with Trevor Ayon. I was going to say Trevor Lee, but that's the wrong Trevor. Trevor Ayon, and they defeated Braxton Hunter and Nick Marcos.
Mm-hmm.
2 kids from Louisiana. They came in, you know, gave a strong effort, but it wasn't strong enough.
Yeah, they tried.
They did try. The last time we had seen Braxton, he was wrestling Nick in a showcase match to try to get a job and broke his wrist.
Passed the brakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it did do that. Yeah, I did see that. Huh? And then you saw me invite Stardust to the ring. And I attempted to offer Stardust a wrestling contract, and he backpedaled.
I found out what happened. No, he didn't backpedal.
He did something with the
back. He told me he was moving some boxes, and he slipped a disc. So he had a boxing match, and he slipped a disc.
Very, very good. So
don't call the man a coward. He was hurt.
But Jim Sterling was hurt. Jim Sterling may or may not be Stardust. We do not know that. He said that himself.
I know. I'm still confused.
So we're going to take it as Stardust being a little chicken.
Like trying to put together a whole white puzzle. Like you're trying to figure out where the hell these pieces go.
But he did bring out Big K.
Yes, he did.
Who the crowd refers to as the Burger King gangster.
I don't agree with that. He has great hair.
And he may not eat Burger King. Who knows?
So,
but Jim Sterling said, if you allow me to manage you, we will be successful, and I will rule as your queen, which was a little different. But I mean,
it's like a walk on the wild side,
or at least a Stardust side. So we saw Big K face off with Johnny Oma Learman, the Lerminator, and
that's weird.
Unfortunately, Jim Sterling's managing ability, or let me rephrase that, Stardust's managing ability was not up to par, as
he tried.
It may or may not be his fault that Big K lost.
But he did try.
He did try.
Hard.
And sometimes that's half the battle. So,
that's wrong.
G.I. Stardust. G.I. Sterling. So, that was pretty interesting.
Now, after the match, what happened?
Stardust berated his would-be king and slapped him with his glove.
Brother, do you know how big and long them gloves are? He twirled it around, looked like a slingshot.
And then slapped the Steve. I guess he challenged him to a duel. I don't know.
He slapped the hell out of him, brother.
When BK turned to retaliate, Stardust he didn't have anything to do with that.
Didn't he?
Yes, he did.
You can move for a big brother.
He may have a hurt back, but wasn't nothing wrong with his feet, was it?
Not a damn thing. He booked it up them stairs.
Yeah, he was getting out of here. So it was a pretty interesting night in Pro Wrestling Ego, at least up to that point. And then we got to see Marvelous Monty Warbucks.
Yeah, they had a great match.
And he took on one half of the Cavemen, Alex Graves.
Yep.
Unfortunately for Alex Graves, Monty has a cannonball in his pocket and used it on Alex Graves. And
that's just being a veteran. He knows what he's doing.
3 seconds later, Alex Graves is a little thinner.
3 seconds and you're out of here. Yep.
So then we got to see the other member of the Cavemen, Wes Warren, take on Francisco Ciazzo.
Yeah, and he hit him with that Schoolboy of Doom and won.
I think he stole that from me.
And anybody on WWE.
So congrats to Wes Warren. That was a big victory in his career for sure.
Yeah.
Francisco is definitely a guy that's traveled the world. The world. I say world, definitely the states, and has made quite a name for himself on the independent. So big victory for Wes Warren. And you have to wonder, would Wes Warren have been able to beat Francisco had Stormy Lee been there?
Ifs, ands, or buts, but he won tonight.
He did do that.
He brought the chops too, bro. I was proud of him for that. I was like, shoot.
Yeah, it was definitely a sounding moment, I guess you could say, in his career.
That rang my ears.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
And then we got to see the Nightmare.
Yeah.
Correct?
Known as Jeremiah.
And
it's completely awesome.
With him was the Brotherhood of Jesters, or the Court of Jesters, or the Twisted Offsprings of Hijinks, however they'd want to be called.
Dudes in masks.
Yeah, guys in masks. And Nightmare got to face off with a newcomer who's not necessarily a newcomer to wrestling, but a newcomer to pro wrestling as of late, is the Bulldog, without his mask.
Yeah.
Chris Athens.
So I threw me off. I still just said Bulldog.
Yeah, I think everybody just says Bulldog. And Bulldog definitely showed Nightmare that, you may have a few inches on me, but I'm just as strong as you are, because they definitely battled power versus power.
Been there, done that.
But unfortunately, Nightmare was too much for the Bulldog and got defeated. And then afterwards, one of the three Hijinks brothers,
and probably the worst actual disguise in his wrestling history.
But we saw the rather large Jester attack the other two Jesters.
No idea who this guy is.
And then attacked Nightmare. And then he pulled off his mask to reveal himself as Shaky McMullen and said, "Nightmare, we'll see you next week in Pillahachie for an Abbey Street fight."
He might as well have on a Lone Ranger mask. looking like Dusty Rhodes when he had on the hood. Who's that? I don't know, baby. Who you think it is?
The Midnight Water, baby. But
not making fun of you, Shaky, but dear God, you could tell it was you.
Yeah. Luckily for Shaky, Nightmare's not very observant.
No kidding. Well, at the end, he was tuning the music.
Yeah. But I thought it was a really good, cool thing. I wasn't expecting Shaky to attack Nightmare. I guess it shows that, hey, you want to play mind games, we can play them back. So one up for the Abbey Street Boot Boys for sure. And then we got treated to tag team title match. And we got to see the Path representing both the Left Hand Path and the Path of Nightmares. That's Zombie Dragon and Eric the Ghost Silva, as they took on.
I'm a fan. I don't care. I'm a fan.
Correction. They took on the two kids from Elevate from Louisiana. They took on Braxton Hunter and Nick Marcos. Left Hand Path, Trevor Ayon and Alistair Crow took on Dylan Cook and Lights, Camera, and Action.
That's right. Yeah.
So correction for those results. Sorry about that, guys. Calling this all off the top of my head. It's been a long weekend. But either way, Braxton Hunter and Nick Marcos still came up short and lost to the Left Hand Path. We just had the wrong versions.
Yeah, they did a move in that match I really liked, but they did a double leg drop.
Yeah.
That match,
like the RVD Rey Mysterio version?
Well, no, like one coming this way, one coming that way, and
okay.
Just whoosh.
Okay, I got you. So kind of a double team, cross corner kind of thing.
I'm a big fan of Left Hand Pass.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Nightmare.
Right.
So guess who I'm rooting for in the Boot Boy thing?
The Boot Boys.
No.
The Left Hand Path.
Couldn't be.
Couldn't be. Well, I mean, you know, they are winners. They do have the gold, so.
That's it. And I kind of prefer the crazy side of things.
And with this being a street fight, you would have to think that anything goes, since it's anything goes.
That's right.
And there's quite a number of members of the left-hand path. Could the Boot Boys be outnumbered by up to 9 to 10 people? I mean,
it's possible.
You could see Zombie Dragon. You could see Eric Silva, Nightmare, Trevor Ayon, Aleister Crow, Austin Towers. Who knows how many, you know, jesters there are running around with a Nightmare. We've seen at least 4 to 5 different ones.
No kidding.
So I mean, you know, it could be a 20-on-3.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
No, I'll save it because.
And then the finals, the main event, we saw Triple Threat. We saw O'Shea Edwards defend his Styles title against Ray Fury and Orion Taylor.
Sure did.
And there's been a bit of a trust issue with Orion saying that, you know, O'Shea hadn't been completely honest with Ray Fury. And earlier in the night, you know, Ray Fury gave O'Shea a chance to show his true colors by offering him a chair and turning his back.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see it in O'Shea's eyes where he almost wanted to be like, you know what, you don't trust me. I should hit you just for not trusting me. But he didn't hit him until the end when we saw a heck of a match, for sure. But we saw Stardust come in and cause a little chaos. So there's a lot of questions to be answered, you know.
Well, you know why?
Yeah.
Can I get a little
absolutely
behind the scenes thing? It ain't really behind the scenes, just as a former champion. There was nothing on the line when you first gave him the back. You know what I mean? After you just won your match and you proved yourself, and then there was, like, you just tried to take my title again.
Right.
So now there's a point of,
and I think that's really the thought behind it. You know, people said, well, O'Shea turned on Ray Fury. Did he really turn on Ray Fury, or did he just protect his title?
He said, I'll never stab you in the back, I'll stab you in the front. And he waited for him to turn around and gutted him. So technically he told him the truth.
So
he's a man of his word.
He is a man of his word. So I definitely want to find out what's on O'Shea's mind.
What's between him and Stardust?
That's another thing.
Is he a stargazer? He's on his Twitter.
Could be one of those things where, you know, the Queen didn't find the right king.
That's it. Got to look. Yeah. See who has the bigger staff.
Yeah. Well then.
I think.
You mean sword?
Yeah, sword fight.
Berserker sword.
I thought there was going to be a sword fighting match. We saw it earlier.
Yeah. But either way, there's a lot of questions coming out of, you know, the Path Less Taken, and it's really building up to the Path of Pride 5. Yeah, Path of Pride 5. That's going to happen in May.
I can't keep up with it.
And, you know, hopefully we get some answers then, because, you know, hopefully we get some answers at the Warpath this Saturday in Pulahatchie, the 27th of January, at the Bigfoot Training Academy, where they do not train Bigfoots.
Or Bigfoot drivers.
Right. Or Bigfoot drivers. But, man, just a lot happened at Path Less Taken. So,
tell you a match I'm looking forward to this week that y'all have planned out is Fury versus Monty Warbucks.
Absolutely. I think
that's kind of a
Monty called him out. You know, he defeated Alex Graves. He's Ray Fury. I'm coming for you.
That's a conclusion for almost 3 months ago.
Right. So you know, at least a continuation. You know, you may not get a conclusion, but you definitely get a continuation. So there's going to be a lot going on at Warpath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mike Carter comes back.
Who's he facing?
O'Shea Edwards. For the Styles Championship.
That's the big old boys throwing some bombs.
Absolutely, and you know, if O'Shea does have that attitude of, I'm going to do what it takes to keep my title.
You got to. You've been a champion.
Yeah, why you want to give it up? Pays more to be the champion.
You damn skippy hippie.
I mean, the definitely go to that pay window and hold your hand out, and it's a little heavier after you leave.
I might pull Stardust to my corner if he could help me hold on to my title.
But my question is, did he pull Stardust to his corner?
Stardust might just want to be like, hey, here's a little advertisement. Let me help you out.
Could be. It could be, hey, this one's on the house, but the next one's going to cost you.
That's
you know, you may have to sell your soul to the Stars.
I know. I told him how you had to enter the madness, and he said he had to reach for the Stars. So maybe he's reaching for the Stars.
So I'm pretty anxious to see what happens when O'Shea faces off with the son of JYD.
I'm I'm curious.
Absolutely.
You think he might stir up more stuff?
I think we'll get answers, or at least another question.
We got a lot of questions. We ain't got no damn answers. I interviewed the guy. Ain't got no damn.
Still don't have anything.
You did a promo in the ring with him. You ain't got no answers.
Oh, I got some answers, but it wasn't what I wanted. So,
well, gosh darn.
Yep. That's all I got to say. But you know, if you want to think about it, the path less taken was way more interesting than the 25th anniversary of Raw. So,
it was,
or at least on our level, you know, from a fan base, we didn't give you, you know, we didn't promise you a bunch of things and not deliver. So we definitely delivered.
Well, I do want to say one thing about Stardust or Jim Sterling, either way you want to take it. That's the first time he'd really ever come out and met his fan base, and I really thought that was cool.
Yeah, when he's done some like Comic Cons and things like that, but he said he hadn't done anything in several years.
But I know that meant a lot to those people,
right?
And, you know,
It's very cool. And we appreciate those people making the trip over, and hopefully, you know,
the signs and stuff they brought. Oh, absolutely, freaking amazing, dude! I love to see fan interaction.
Yeah, and I just hope that it leads to, you know, maybe they weren't wrestling fans when they showed up, but maybe they were when they left.
Yeah,
you know, so, and you know, we invite them back. Hopefully, they'll definitely come back and check us out again.
Never know, we might stir up.
Yeah, because he's definitely a stir.
Stir it up, brother. You got to. How do you stay in business? Stir up the stuff.
Yep. Controversy creates cash.
There you go.
And with that being said, we'll see you
next week.
We'll see you next week, but we'll see you this Saturday, Pillachie, Mississippi, at the Bigfoot Training Academy for Warpath.
Raw's got to win the Rumble.
Let's go SmackDown.